Welcome back to this explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into some absolutely fascinating neuroscience to uncover why traditional self-help usually, well, fails us. And more importantly, we're going to look at how you can actually permanently rewire your subconscious programming. If you've ever felt like you're doing literally all the right things but still hitting a brick wall, you are in the exact right place.
Consider this bizarre but completely true analogy. If you put a frog on a bed of dead flies, it won't eat them. In fact, it will literally starve to death right there in the middle of an absolute feast. Why? Well, because a frog's nervous system is strictly wired to only recognize what moves in its visual field. It simply cannot see the abundance right in front of its face. And, as crazy as it sounds, we humans share that exact same primal reptilian brain. We often starve amidst endless opportunities just because we're blinded by the rigid limitations of our own nervous systems.
Which brings us to a pretty provocative question for you. Why, despite consuming endless motivational content, reading all the books, and riding that wave of hopium, do you still feel stuck in your current reality? I mean, we keep injecting this motivational dopamine into our veins, hoping just one more piece of info will be the master key that unlocks our dream life. But that motivation rarely ever actually sticks, does it?
And the answer to that lies right in our neurobiology. Scientists have concluded that a staggering 98% of your brain activity is entirely unconscious. Let me repeat that. Not 70, not 80, 98%. This means the vast majority of the 60,000 thoughts you have every single day and the actions you take, they're just running on autopilot. Your conscious willpower, that tiny little 2%, it frankly doesn't stand a chance against your hidden, deeply rooted programming. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're covering why self-help fails, your nervous system firewall, the power of self-image, unlocking the theta state, practical steps to reprogram, and finally, controlling your daily input and output. Let's jump right into part 1, why self-help fails you, or what we can call the illusion of motivation. The fatal flaw of traditional self-help is that it focuses all its energy on handing you a new key of information, but completely ignores the rusted lock you're trying to shove it into. To understand this, think of your mind like a home computer setup. Your brain is the hardware. The new, empowering beliefs and habits you want to adopt, those are the software apps you're trying to download. But sitting right between those two is your nervous system, and it acts as a highly restrictive, incredibly rigid firewall. It's literally designed to block those new installations from ever taking root on your hard drive. Which takes us to part 2, your nervous system firewall, that invisible shield.
Now, this invisible firewall wasn't built to ruin your life, it was actually built to protect you. But the shield that once kept you safe is now the exact thing holding you back from evolving. See, this firewall was constructed through a process called imprinting. Early in life, specifically between the ages of 0 and 7, when you're, highly vulnerable, intense emotional events literally imprinted onto your nervous system. These early experiences, whether traumatic or just stuff you absorbed from your parents, they permanently taught your nervous system what it needs to filter out and what it should let in, just to keep you safe.
Because think about it. Every single second, we are bombarded by billions of sensory inputs. If we processed all of it, we'd experience pure, terrifying chaos. So your nervous system filters out the noise and just throws away anything that threatens your existing belief system. It takes what's left and constructs a safe, customized, but highly limited model of the world. This is what's called your reality tunnel. You think you're experiencing objective reality, but you're actually living inside a highly filtered tunnel. The late philosopher Robert Anton Wilson perfectly captured this. He said, "You don't experience reality, you experience the reality your nervous system is capable of receiving." I absolutely love that quote. It brilliantly explains why two people can view the exact same event and have completely opposite reactions. They aren't just disagreeing, their nervous systems are genuinely operating in two completely different reality tunnels. Moving on to part 3, the power of self-image and why you self-destruct. This whole concept of identity and self-image was famously studied by a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz, the guy who wrote Psycho-Cybernetics. Dr. Maltz would perform these flawless reconstructive surgeries, turning severe deformations into, frankly, model-worthy appearances. Yet, months later, some of these patients still avoided mirrors. They still literally believed they were ugly. Maltz realized the brain doesn't respond to objective reality. It responds to self-image. And here is the golden rule you need to remember. If your external achievements somehow manage to exceed your internal self-image, you will inevitably and unconsciously self-sabotage. You will snap back to your old identity just like a rubber band.
And this perfectly contrasts the failure of doing versus the effortless success of being. Like, if you're offered a cigarette and say, "I'm trying to quit," you still identify as a smoker who's just trying to change a behavior. But if you say, "I'm not a smoker," boom, you've changed your identity. You absolutely must deeply adopt the identity of the person you want to become first. You have to be before you can do.
All right, part 4, unlocking the theta state to bypass that firewall.
So now that we know the problem is an outdated identity locked behind a rusted firewall, let's look at the biological loophole to get past it. Logic and motivation, they won't work on your subconscious, because your subconscious is basically a permanent 4 to 7-year-old child. To bypass the firewall, we have to look at brain states. Right now, you're in beta, normal, waking, logical activity. When you relax your breathing, you drop into alpha. But when your alarm systems truly shut off, you enter theta. Theta is the state of light sleep, meditation, and hypnosis. If you try to logically attack your problems, you stay in beta, and your firewall blocks everything. But if you deeply relax down into theta, your subconscious becomes completely vulnerable to new suggestions and software updates.
Actually, some of history's greatest minds hacked this exact biological loophole. Take Salvador Dali, the artist. He would nap in a chair holding a metal key right over a plate. As he drifted into that magical theta state on the edge of sleep, his muscles would relax, the key would drop, clang against the plate, and snap him awake so he could sketch the brilliant, dreamlike ideas his subconscious just unlocked. Thomas Edison used a very similar trick with steel balls. And just like they used theta for profound insights, you can use it to completely rewrite your imprints. Which brings us to part 5, steps to reprogramming. This is your daily masterclass. Let's break down the exact daily steps you need to take to reprogram your subconscious safely, effectively, and naturally. First, you have to relax. If you try too hard to change, your nervous system instantly senses a threat and throws that firewall right back up. You have to convince it that it's safe. Try this technique. Sit or lie down, and imagine your body is made of balloons. Open a mental valve on your feet and let them deflate. Then your legs, your chest, your arms, until you are entirely limp. Then focus gently on your out-breath. Silently repeat to yourself, calm body, calm mind. Do this for about 10 minutes to let that firewall completely drop. Once you're relaxed, here's your exact daily timeline. The 20 minutes right before you fall asleep, that is prime theta territory. Listen to a hypnotic induction or recorded affirmations, and, this is vital, you must assume the vivid sensory feeling of your wish already fulfilled. Don't crave it, feel that it's already done. Then let that new assumption incubate during your 8 hours of sleep. Finally, reinforce it the exact moment you wake up in the morning while your brain is still hazy and highly suggestible.
And finally, part 6, controlling your input and output to win the daytime.
You know what to do at night, but what about the rest of the day? Your daytime hours are absolutely critical because minute by minute, you are either reinforcing the old you or actively molding the new you. During the day, you have to fiercely guard 2 things, your input and your output. For input, you've got to audit everything coming into your brain. No more dysregulated music, negative people, or toxic news. Flood your system with the positive. Also, speak your affirmations out loud in the present tense. Say, I am, not I will be. For output, you have to direct your mind by asking it the right questions. Here's a really fascinating quirk of neuroscience. Your brain is literally incapable of turning down a question. If you ask it, why am I such an idiot? It will immediately search your memory bank for every single time you failed just to prove you right. But if you feed it these daily power questions, like what would my highest self do right now? What would a healed nervous system feel like? What can I be grateful for? Your brain has no choice but to automatically search for empowering, positive answers instead of digging up past traumas. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to reflect on today. Remember that frog starving on the bed of dead flies? The abundance you want is very likely already sitting right there in your visual field. So what is your reality tunnel keeping you from seeing? What outdated beliefs do you need to relax and delete today so your nervous system will finally lower the firewall and let you experience the life that's already waiting for you? Think about that. Start using the theta state tonight and take back control of your programming.